all, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing frogs.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go down that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got nothing.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Come on, Lou Taylor. That's good. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
the
an
Chinese
erratic
Mikhail
detective, Mikhail Rodriguez.
Why an African slap an Indian? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, how you deal with that? You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
You apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that. Hi there, welcome to the Freddie Kissoon show with the ever reliable Akash Persaud as our host. This evening, sparks are going to fly. We have two men with opposing perspective on Guyana's sociology, Guyana's politics, Guyana's economics, and you combine all to call political economy. They have been two guests that we are ever grateful for when our programs were in the beginning stage. They graced our studio and made this show possible. Together, combined, they probably have appeared 10 times or 8 times on this program. Welcome to Akash, my co-host. Our guests this evening are two very well-known young men, but very experienced. One has been the mayor of Georgetown for 5 years, former Mayor UBRAJ NARAINE. The other is one of Guyana's leading financial expert, Joel BHAGWANDIN. Both of them for the next hour are going to take us through Guyana leading up to the 2025 elections. What do they see? What are the shapes? What are the configurations that they are seeing that would lead them to different conclusions or the same conclusions? So, welcome to our two guests, and I want to start on a light note. I don't know if they are going to do it, but I'm going to ask them to do it. As you know, UBRAJ NARAINE is a Hindu pandit. Joel BHAGWANDIN is a practicing Hindu. When I first met him, he invited me to one of his Jandi with Leonard Gildali. Now they're wearing something this evening called Rakshasutra. Please show our guest Rakshasutra. Look, Rakshasutra. So now, this is Rakshasutra, this is Rakshasutra. You're practicing Hindu, he's a Hindu pandit. Could you do this man Jandi in the next Jandi that he has?
You see, Freddie, people got their preference to priests.
Okay.
Joel Masi got it priests. People will take me who I do them Jandi for years.
Okay, but Joel, look, Joel got a big future in Ghana, so you. So I don't see nothing wrong with Joel doing that. But I want to ask Akash and Joel a question, and then when they answer, Akash will take over. I'm not putting the question to you. I'm asking Akash, I'm asking Joel, then I'm asking you. When they both answer the question, Akash, you take over. Joel, since you were in high school, up to now, 2024, who would be the mayor that you prefer? From high school days to now. Who would be the mayor of Georgetown that that is the guy I prefer to me.
If you're speaking in terms of entertainment, I would prefer the former mayor sitting next to me.
I am saying in general terms, who is the mayor you prefer from schoolboy days to 2024?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't seen any mayor. Who was the mayor that you succeed?
Chase Green.
Chase Green.
Chase Green.
You don't even remember?
Akash,
Yeah.
from high school to now, who was when you look at the list, you said, this, I would choose this one.
For me, I remember the name Compton Young comes to mind right away.
Okay.
Compton Young. Yeah, I remember there wasn't much. The city was, there wasn't much
Politics.
Yeah,
All
wasn't
right.
much drama. But when it comes to theatrics,
Yeah, this is the man.
O'Braj Narine, this man, O'Braj Narine knows how to
Well,
bring
he
people.
said so.
Yeah.
I know you said so.
Yeah.
This is the man who like that when he's just. And a friend told me,
Yeah.
a friend called me and tell me, Ubach Narine, the mayor's lying down on East Street. Freddie, I gotta run over the man.
What?
And I said, what, are you crazy? Those are the young politicians that are the future girl. I said, don't do that. And the man said, man, Freddie, if you say spare him, I will spare him.
Freddie saved your life, man.
See, I saved your life. But Akash, we're looking at Guyana in totality.
Yeah.
Right up to the next general election. The floor is yours.
Look, gentlemen, both of you are very young in politics. I think that both of you will be around for a very long time in politics, and both of you will be living in a country when we would have achieved greatness. It is my belief that we are on the cusp of greatness with this oil boom and all of that that's happening. You look around the country, what's happening. But let me put something on the table here. How do we attain political maturity? How do we then move? How do we motivate the young people to say an election finished last week? Let us get on with the business of nation building. Let us get on with the building of working. Let us get on with this. Let's forget sometimes this culture, this workplace culture that we have, that it has to be political. Let's all come together to build this country. What do we need to do to change that sort of political maturity, gentlemen? And I will start with O'Braj, since he's right next to me here.
Pandaji, you have to say Pandaji.
Akash, that is something I have witnessed since entering politics, that politics play in every organization these days, which ought not to be. After election, whoever so be the president, that is the president for all Guyana, and we have to move forward in that direction. You will have an opposition which is a part of government to hold whoever the government is accountable, and the Guyanese people must live a comfortable life in that direction. The opposition has to do their part to hold whoever so the government is accountable.
As a follow-up, before Joel come in, why have we not been able to achieve that? Now, what is this stumbling block here?
Well, you see,
what is stopping us?
I will say that it's both. You have two major parties in this country.
Mm-hmm.
You have the APNO, who actually made up of coalition. The major one is my political party, the PNC, and you have the PPP. And maturity, I believe, starts with the leaders, right? We are young leaders, Joel and myself. We don't want to live to inherit what we are seeing today. We want democracy. We want to change in a different direction, so our children and grandchildren will be comfortable in this country. The pulling and tugging is on to now. If you go to a ministry, they recognize UBRAJ and NARAINE, you get pushed around, right? I have evidence on certain things just now on my phone, sitting on a government board. I will show you this one. I will show you, Freddie. Sitting on a government board where you have the chairman and the PS made a decision, and now sending the document, a contractor already selected by the two, but you need the board approval now to pay the contractor. And we're not rubber stamp. And these are the problem we have, and we can't move forward in a mature nation with leaders in this kind of behavior. will end up in problems.
Joel, do you agree with Panditji, and what are your thoughts?
Well,
on both questions.
Yes.
Yes.
let me qualify. Let me qualify your introduction. I don't think I'm in the realm of politics.
Okay.
I would say I dabble in politics. Politics is a career by itself. I'm not a politician.
Yeah, yes.
I do dabble in politics as an analyst, comment on overlapping issues, policy issues, economic issues, and there's the political economy.
But let me clarify also, the reason I said that is because I personally, and many people in this country across the diaspora, see you as one of the future leaders in this country.
So that's a different matter.
So that is why I'm saying that.
That's a different matter. But as it currently stands, I'm not a holder of any political office. I sit in a constitutional portfolio, not a political portfolio, vis-a-vis being a commissioner on the Public Procurement Commission. That's a constitutional body. The process by which that appointment was made is a constitutional process, as opposed to a political process where a political office holder make appointments, say, for example, the president or a minister. Just for clarification.
Good. Political maturity.
Political maturity is one can attribute or ascribe different interpretation and definition to the word maturity, generally and specifically. Panditji, former mayor, gave an example to substantiate his point. But I think we have to take a step back to understand when we speak of political maturity, we first have to define what do we mean by political maturity. And that is what I want to do to frame my response to the question. Political maturity for me means simple things. For example, respecting the rule of law.
Absolutely.
Conducting yourselves in accordance with laid down rules and procedures, things like codes of ethic, and generally within a framework of rules, procedures, and guidelines. Respecting those rules, procedures, and guidelines. And I say that because what we have experienced not so long ago in 2020, and I suffered immensely during that period because I was working at the private sector commission at that time. I didn't sleep for 5 months.
Really?
I didn't sleep for 5 months because the private sector commission was one of the local accredited observer groups. And we coordinated, it was a large group. So I was, by virtue of working with the commission, my role was coordinating that and doing the analysis, analyzing the reports coming in, etc., etc. And so for 5 months, I practically didn't sleep. And what happened in 2020 should have never happened if the politicians of this country had regard for the rule of law. They were blatant disrespect to the rule of law since the successful passage of the no confidence motion in December 2018. So that's the first thing. The first thing is respect. We can have disagreements, and that's fine. Disagreement, in fact, is healthy when you can put forward intelligible debates and deliberation on policy issues and debating bills, etc. That is healthy. But one must not equate disagreement to be disrespect and rogue behavior, behaving in a way that is not in keeping with what a decent society should be, or the kind of society that you want to exist in. So that is the first, that's the context and the first thing when I think of the term political maturity, respecting. Then the second dimension for me, putting it now in the context of young leaders, as you put it, or future leaders, I think the leaders that are coming up will be viable in terms of the future direction. Because from where I sit, I currently hold, like my colleague here, and hold multiple portfolios. I sit in multiple capacity, privately, constitutionally in a body on the constitutional agency, doing private work, being directors in different organizations, and from that experience, I see there is more openness. There is a culture developing of more openness. We may be from different parties, or you may be from different political. You may support different political groupings, but there is that mutual respect. And even up to today, before I this morning 11 o'clock, somebody messaged me, a guy named Rene Paris. Rene Paris is...
That's not the son of Hassan Paris?
I'm not sure, but I'll tell you who he is. I've been in contact with him for a while, and we interact mostly on... We debate finance issues. We maintain a respectable relationship. There are many times he and I would have strong disagreements on my analysis. Mm-hmm. I would disagree with his argument, etc. We've had a few exchanges in the press in terms of writing and responding. And he is one of the directors and co-owners of this news entity called The Village Voice. Now in Guyana, The Village Voice is characterized as an opposition-aligned news entity. Now today, Rene Paris messaged me saying that, I haven't touched base with you, just touching base with you. And I think Guyana belongs to everybody despite race, mm-hmm. ethnicity, religion, whether you're man or woman, and we all need to work together, to move this country forward. Now that is one of many examples that I could point you to in my own experience. I teach as well part-time, a postgraduate program. I'm not going to name individuals, but there are high-level, I've taught high-level persons who are affiliated, who are executive members of the People's National Congress, maybe about 4 or 5 of them, who I taught. We have very good relationship. Outside of that, I have very good relationship with a few others in the opposition as well. Mm. So I'm saying these things to answer the question maturity. Despite that, I may be a strong supporter of one political organization or one political organization that represent a certain type of policies and where they want to take the country, and you may be part of or support another political organization. That's fine, but we must be able to coexist, and we must be able to coexist within in a mutually respectful and cordial way.
Before we go to Panditji, I feel funny in this room, like I am the outsider. When I look at myself compared to the three of you, I wonder if I'm a semi-civilized man, because everybody looking at the three of you would know that you've been to the hairdresser. Look. You all three of you have been to the hairdresser, but
Freddie, you save him money, don't worry.
So Panditji, a question or you want to reply to that mouthful? Which one?
No, well, Joel outlined his view, I outlined my view. And it's not only what took place during the 2020 election to say, well, one party was involved in all these things. If you can recall, indeed, when the no confidence motion passed, you had, if you can recall, Freddie and Akash, and this is there in history of our country, you had a big protest front of Pegasus, and the now president was actually going to turn over one of the minister's vehicle. So it both sides may need to develop that kind of...
That's factual.
Yeah, that is there. Maturity, and Joel outlined it, I outlined mine. So we as young people are looking for a different direction. Maybe he supported the political party, I support a political party. And we can able to match things and bring things together for the betterment of our people.
But UBRAJ, Panditji, there is evidence of that? Or
yes, no, that is on the YouTube and the media and so on. and them thing that.
But I know of the protest. I don't know about the.
I didn't know about that.
Yes, I can
It can
send
be
you.
substantiated.
I can send. Yes, man. Why not? I will come here and say thing. Vehicle shaking the vehicle and all kind of things.
Why the program is going
But
on?
was the vehicle damaged?
I can't really say.
Well,
the
good.
news
So you
will
see-
the news will be there.
Well, you see, if I may, in a democracy, it is perfectly in order to protest. The Constitution
You are
allows
saying
it.
more. You are saying more
But it does not-
definitively. You
No,
are
no,
saying
no.
more definitively
Let
that
me say
happened.
this.
Are you
You-
saying
nothing
no,
is
I'm
wrong
asking
with
There
you.
was an
You-
attempt to overturn a vehicle.
Yes,
I am saying-
it is there on video.
I am
right?
saying you are standing by
No,
that.
Joel claim and paint, right? And now you are saying that you want to know if this is evidence. It is there.
No, it's simple.
Go on
It's
there.
simple. No, it's simple.
I wasn't there. Joel said he was a part in the private sector, but he wasn't there at the with the politician them dealing with 2020 election. He was a part of a team with the private sector. So I was a part of a political party engaging as well, and there's a lot of meetings.
No,
so you can't paint one political party of this country being destructive, right? There are political parties that got its advantages and disadvantages, and that is what we fail to accept when we are a political when we are one who support a political party. I came on this program and I make mention of my leader, Obi Norton, which you know of, right? I am here again, which I agree to some extent with Joel, but we cannot paint one political party in history of this country to go down a road like that.
Okay, so let me deconstruct.
Before you come in, I want this program is being recorded and it can last forever. Are you saying most definitively that President Ofunali, when he was not president, tried to overturn a car? Are you
right
I'm
at
asking you.
Pegasus, yes sir, with the team.
Are we gonna look for
PYO.
It's
Look
not
for the
going to
video.
look good, you know. if it's not,
Look for the video.
It's
right?
not going to look
Look
good
out for
because
the video, standing, banging the vehicle.
No, you just told me said trying to overturn.
Man,
Anyway.
you can go and you can look at the video, man.
Let me so
Freddie.
you see, when you're a public officer and you hold a public office of any sort, and in my case I'm here as an analyst, which is the profession that I practice, you have a responsibility to whatever you say, you got to be held accountable for, and you got to speak responsibly. Why am I saying this? Let's establish a few things factually.
Man, did you looking for the thing? You got to find it. Yeah.
Hold on, we come to that. The first point I want to note, or the first fact, is that a democracy provides for protests. Citizens, any group, any stakeholder, any political party can protest. Nothing is illegal or undemocratic about that. That is provided for, and the Constitution of Guyana protects that fundamental right. So that's the first thing. Secondly, when we speak of destructive, shaking a vehicle in the midst of a protest is not being destructive. What is destructive is burning of cities, looting the city, burning down the city, politically motivated crime and violence. This is documented facts. There are volumes of literature, academic literature, documenting our history of politically motivated crime and violence. That is destruction. To steal, what is the thing in the National Assembly? What's the thing?
The maze.
maze.
The maze.
And disrupting a National Assembly, that is destructive. Right? There are many examples of events of such which is destructive. Point me one example of the equivalence of those events that the incumbent government the incumbent government or the
You couldn't find it. We asked.
It's going to take some time.
PPP
It'll take some time to find it.
has in their entire history since their establishment engaged in any similar type of activities of destruction.
The guest,
Taking a vehicle in a protest. What is destructive
the
about
guest
that?
has asked you a question.
Was the vehicle destroyed? Right?
I just want to say to my
Nothing
good
is
friend,
wrong with that.
with
Was anybody
with all
hurt?
due respect,
Was anybody hurt? Was the vehicle destroyed? Was there damages?
my friends seem not to know much history about the parliament. When Chedi was premier, the mace went missing. The PP had hidden the mace, right? And they had to launch investigation. The history
That's
is
not
there again.
That's not destruction. Hiding the mace and stealing the mace is two different.
It was the mace to pass a bill in the parliament.
Yeah,
it was
but
a sabotage on the parliament.
hiding the
Then.
mace is not
Right?
No, but
breaking the mace.
I'm not more about that. He knocked down the books.
And
Or we knocked down
chair
the
and
mail.
all these things, man. Look, you see, there's our problem here.
You're talking about destruction.
When you talk
What
about
is
born in
destructive
city,
about that?
who had born the cane fields back in the days?
Which cane field?
Cane fields, Bobbies, Rosal, New Amsterdam cane field. Go back in history, right? These are things that I don't intend to go back to because I have a positive view of my political career. Many times I've looked at the press conference of PPP and supporter of the PPP going back to Bornham days. And what born? I wasn't born in Bornham days. I born 1991. But in fact, if all the roads and all the development happen, you praise the PPP. I want you to go find in 1970 Vision of Guyana by Lyndon Forbes Sampson Bornham, right? Get hold of the 1970 vision and you will see the Demerara Harbor Bridge. You will see all the roads they're building, the road that they're going to build from Parika to Bartica and Bartica connecting other areas with Madi and so on. It is there in the 1970 vision of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Bornham, right? Get hold of that documentary, right? Why you think all those land that where the new highway, the Heroes Highway, Bornham, ensure that no development take place there or taking place there because it is there in the 1970 vision. And I will try to get a PDF format and send it to both Freddie and Akash and you, Joel. I will try to get it in a PDF format and you will see the vision of Sampson Bornham, right? On the development of Guyana. When you come in now with this thing, born in city, I wasn't even exist when born in city. I sure you wasn't exist too.
Yes.
Right? Born in city.
I'm older than you.
And
you born 1991, I'm born 1989.
89, 2 years 2 years before. So it's something that we have to sometime move forward if we, the young people, want to bring
slow fire, more fire?
Positive change.
When Haidt was the opposition leader?
Well, Haidt had a lot of reasons why he said more fire, slow fire,
yeah,
slow
but
fire,
you don't
more
know.
fire.
You don't know. You can't remember that time. You were a little boy then.
Well, yes, I was a little boy. Probably you were big and you knew what was going on.
No, but I was a child. I know.
Right.
You never used to read when you used to go to school? You never used one of them children who never read when they go to school, primary school and so?
No, I used to live in Wikenham and I go to school in
Wikenham. So you never got newspaper and stuff for reading?
No, Wikenham was a different place.
Well,
right?
that's why. Well, that's why you can't relate. I live out I grew up on the West Bank.
And you live close to Tongue.
So going to school, I'm talking about school days.
Right.
I'm talking about going to school, what I can recall this country went through in terms of violence and crime.
Right.
And me talk about my own family experience. You talk about born in Cane, etc. But I talk about that already on this program. I'm not going to go back into it. But you see, you use development. You went back to Bornham 1970 vision. I've never seen a 1970 vision.
Well, you should get a copy
you
of
could
it.
probably bring a copy. But I know about the 1996.
You all know about fire and fire and so you all know the right thing of this country.
No, you don't want to accept your own history that you subscribe to. You can't change the facts. We're not debating Barnum and Chetty. You're talking about destruction. We're talking about political maturity. That's the history. What happened in our history, that is the history. That is a fact. Whether you twist it, turn it how you want it. The fact is what you have moved away from is, as you go back to the 1970 vision, let's assume that there was something called a 1970 vision. What is there in the current dispensation? What is there currently in the party that you belong to, in terms of a vision for the country, in terms of a development strategy? There is nothing other than that. Since Barnum died, the party lost its way. The party has lost its way.
I can't agree to you with those things. You should really get hold of this 1970, and I will try to get a soft copy to send it to you. No, I didn't know that you were one of the hosts to lay the questions, right? And Freddie and Akash, you know, silent on matters.
I got a solution to that. I got to ask him any questions.
I am not heading down that road.
No, it's not.
I give my view.
No, it's not. It's a very intellectual
on my political party.
He posed a question to the other guests. The other guests can do the same. No, you
said
you're giving it a chance.
The PPP. Most of the vision of 1970 is executed right now by the PPP. What PPP industry they created? We had the brick factory, milk factory, we had clothes factory, we had glass factory.
And what happened?
We had ask Dr. Chetty Jagan in 1992 who bring NIS, which the PPPs benefit from NIS. The PPP had protest NIS when Barnum established NIS. Those are facts too. Let us not try to rewrite history. Both the PNC and the PPP had their doings back in the days. It is us who now have to make a change and go forward for the betterment of this country with all the resources. And that is my view. My view is not to lay back on the history. The history is something that we must learn from and make changes for the betterment of this country and our society, so our children and grandchildren or the future can able to have a better life than us.
UBRAJ, would you like to pose a question to Joel Bhagwandin so the answer that you solicit can form an intellectual debate without me and Akash having to intervene?
No, I would not do that.
No, I see nothing wrong with that. And the host, the guest,
I am not here to pose question.
Fine,
Freddie.
but I see nothing wrong in the shape of an interview in which you have more than one guest, and another guest turn to the other guest and say, "But did you know? Could you tell me?" I don't see anything wrong with that, and he posed a question to you, which I think
Freddie,
in the format of the program is legitimate.
Let us not stick there. Let us move. I am not here to pose questions.
Move on.
I am here to answer the two of you all question, and if there is a debate, I will debate on it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If based on what is said, you feel you want a clarification from the other guests, that's fine. Well, let's
Nobody say you don't want to discuss too much the past, so let me go forward.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Let me move on.
When I had approached both of you guys, I wanted to get your views, your perspective, your analysis for our viewers. What you think will be the shape, what you see on the horizons, or if there are any horizons, of positiveness that between now and the next election, we can take some comfort in. In other words, I'm asking both of you now, how do you see Guyana leading up to what everybody will be expecting or looking with curiosity and interest to the 2025 election? So alphabetically, Joel.
So I don't understand the question. What do we expect?
Yeah, well, how do you see Guyana unfolding by the time we reach to 2025? Do you see Do you see concerns? Do you see optimism?
Well, I would say cautiously optimistic. I mean, I could only make a projection based on history, right? So far.
Oh Lord, he doesn't want to. Oh Lord,
So far,
he doesn't want that. But go ahead, Joel.
So far, in terms, okay, so there's a lot to unpack in that question. So let me take it one element at a time. So the first one is, let's talk about the electoral process. The electoral process coming out of the 2020 elections, coming out of the COI, there were a number of reforms recommended. I think those are already in motion. There is this concern that the opposition always have about the electoral list, that the list is bloated, etc. I personally have dealt with that.
You're a statistics man, yeah.
Issue on many occasions, speaking about in terms of the legitimacy of the list, that how the list came about, went through the legislative reforms that brought it to where it is, etc. So I've seen, without getting into all of the details in that one element, the legislative, electoral process and the reforms being undertaken, I haven't seen too much of strong disputes coming out from either side, and I think that is a good sign. Hopefully, again, I'm saying I'm being cautiously optimistic. So I expect that to be taken to the end, to take us through the next election. That's in terms of the electoral process, GCOM, whatever reforms need to be made, etc., etc. That's one element. Another element is the contesting of the contestation of elections by the political parties. Right now, we're in that season where we've seen that the political parties are preparing themselves. One major political party recently had their Congress, internal elections. That so far it is on public record that political party has completed their program. That was their first program when the party was formed. Now they're going to look at creating a new program to take the country forward that they want to see the government, that party would implement as well. So that is a good sign. That is good. Other political parties, other political players are in that process as well. The opposition, the PNC Congress is coming up. The AFC announced their Congress. So I refer to that as, I see that as the political parties preparing themselves for 2025. So there's still more analysis to be done post the other two parties' Congress. Whether there are leadership changes, that will determine how we have to analyze how those new leaders or if the current leaders re-elected, how they would want to position the party in terms of campaigning and contesting the election. So far, I think the environment generally is relatively stable. I haven't seen too many signs of disruption. There is always that fear, but I should say as well, to say something positive about my colleague to the left, I think coming out over the years, forget about 2020 for a moment. I think in terms generally, the environment is improving when it comes to electoral, the election cycle, the end of the political cycle rather. I haven't seen anything. I don't know if everybody's waiting for 2025 to come up with whatever if there is any disruption. We can argue that the teachers' strike by the GTO, etc., is political. We can argue that, but I don't see that at this point in time. I think that is being de-escalated. So I don't see that as a major political tool of disruption at this point in time. I think good sense is prevailing, even though you have that tendency, deadlock, etc. So generally, I think the political environment in terms of preparing for the next election is relatively calm and stable. I would like to see that that is maintained. I expect to see the campaign ramping up later in the year post these other parties' Congress. And I would like to see that the peace and the stability remain. There is no major disruption, and let there be a clean fight. So that's on the election. That's the question, right? If you ask me about where I see the country, that's a different matter.
What's the question that I asked, and then we will come back to the country.
On the election part on GCOM, I did my own little calculation. I'm not a mathematician like Joel. He analyzed and so on, but in my own little corner.
You're not a figures or statistics.
I'm not. In my own little corner, common sense is something that able to take you through uncertainty. You call it university of life. So if you got Guyana population, you said about 700 and something thousand people, right? We never reach 1 million people. But the list you have on the electoral system currently is, I believe, is 600 and something thousand people. No, 800 and something thousand people, and you have 600 and something thousand people on the current list of GCOM. And you win an election with more than 500,000 electoral people voting. It raises eyebrows to me, and that is my only concern, that it need to review, revise, and that's why I believe the opposition continue to maintain that it is called for a new list, a new registration, and all these things, and because the laws of GPU have been amendment.
What's GPU?
Guyana, the registrar. Sorry. Make amendment to the laws where now you can simply get a birth certificate, right? So these are things to take in consideration, and issuing ID cards and so on is the next concern that I recently see that people are writing, that you have foreigners getting ID card and citizenship. Well, the law state very clear, as long as you spend a year in this country, you can able to apply for citizenship.
A year?
A year. Yeah.
No man survives.
Was it 4 years? No, a year.
Sorry, nobody gets citizenship.
And,
anyway, continue.
And those are things I have concern over, and that's why the party continue to call for a new list for move ahead with election. I share the same sentiment that political party, I believe, are laying out their plan. Well, you find that the opposition, the government, they have their usual press conference, they lash out each other, but I believe more need to be done in that way. Of the opposition need to hold government more accountable on many matters, and so on. So I have not much to say on GCOM because I am not knowledgeable on GCOM matter. So I wouldn't go down that road. I'm not a member of the commission. I never sit to go through something with GCOM fully as yet.
Can I speak to the list? So since you raised it, I now have to respond to it.
You're checking your database there.
So let's get the fact. So let me explain. I've written several letters.
You have the right to respond after.
Right? So I want to get the sequence of events correct. So I'm going to read a letter that was published the 8th of March 2024 with a caption, Alexander fails, this is Vincent Alexander, fails to credibly show voters list voted, ignores measures in place to prevent fraud. Now this was a letter written by me. So permit me to read it, right?
A long letter?
No. I'm going to read not the entire letter. Parts of it, right? Let's start from the Representation of the People's Act. The Representation of the People's Act was amended to cater for cycles of continuous registration in 2005. The enactment of this amendment effectively replaced the need for fresh house-to-house registration exercise each time there is general and regional elections. Hence, the reason why GCOM has regional offices across the country Consequently, the registration system became more efficient and reduced substantially the cost incurred for periodic house-to-house registration. Following this amendment, GECOM conducted 8 cycles of continuous registration up to 2016. The electoral laws provide for the protection of Guyanese rights to vote in an election who have migrated, provided that they are in the country and have been registered. Therefore, Guyanese living abroad cannot be legally or constitutionally removed from the NRR. In fact, there was a High Court ruling on this matter by the Chief Justice that resulted in the abortion of the last attempt to conduct a fresh house-to-house by the APNU FC government. This was acknowledged by the Commissioner in his missive. As it pertains, well, I'm going to ignore the dead person's part because that is...
No, man, you have to read the dead part, man.
Okay, good. Fine.
Ignore the dead part.
As it pertains to the removal of dead persons on the voters list.
You want to pick a nut.
I was trying to go to the stats.
Like I said, I don't know much about the...
Okay, for your benefit, as it pertains...
That's why I asked him to read it.
As it pertains to the removal of dead persons on the voters list, there is a mechanism in place whereby the General Register Office, the GRO that you mentioned, periodically supply GECOM with a list of persons who died. The deceased persons, as per the said report, are then flagged in the NRR, who are then excluded from the voters list, which is extracted from the NRR. Additionally, during the claims and objections period, the general public, including political parties, can submit claims or objections to persons on the voters list who may have passed away or should otherwise be disqualified in accordance with the Constitution. The GECOM Commission is full well aware of this procedure. So, of interest to note, according to the Bureau, so let's get into the statistics now. Of interest to note, according to the Bureau of Statistics data on the total number of deceased persons for the period 2009 to 2022, a total of 70,680 persons died during that period. That's for 14 years, which accounted for 9% of the population. The number of deaths in 2009 was reportedly 3,849, which increased to 6,818 or 77% in 2022, with an annual average of 5,049 deaths over that period. So less than 100,000 people died in 14 years.
When you wrote that article,
right? This
what year?
March 2024.
You finished?
Hold on. In respect of Guyanese residing abroad who might have been in country and voted at the general and regional elections, this deduction can be made easily by examining the immigration data. For example, in 2015, the total arrivals in the country was reportedly 277,906, and departures were 282,394, giving rise to a net departure for that year of 4,488 persons. It is safe to presume that at least 70% of visitors to Guyana are Guyanese. Therefore, it would be correct to say that no less than 195,000 Guyanese returned home in 2015, and some of whom might have participated in the 2015 elections. Now let's look at 2020. Similarly, in 2020, owing to the lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the total arrivals in that year was reportedly 105,138 and total departures of 99,821, giving rise to a net arrival of 5,317 persons. In the year prior, the total number of arrivals was reportedly 357,362 and total departure of 322,294, giving rise to a net arrival, right? Net arrival of 35,000.
Net arrival of
Could
whom?
you speed it up?
35,068, assuming that net arrival in 2019 remained. Now,
of whom?
Now that's, so I made the point, so let me explain. So the immigration record.
Yeah, with whom?
Right? Do you travel?
Yeah, I travel a lot.
So some of these analysis, when you don't have data for everything, so we have immigration data.
Right.
Right?
So you don't know who come in the country and so on. Is that what
you don't have a breakdown how much is Guyanese, how much is foreigners. But how much time you just travel? You could make a deduction how much of these people are Guyanese. Right? So that's the first thing. We had over 200,000 people coming into the country.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, let me summarize what I just read.
Could you do that, Tom?
The electoral laws have been amended since 2005 to cater for house-to-house registration. Once you are registered, you cannot be removed from that from that database. The Constitution provides for that. Now, Guyanese, we have 700,000 people, maybe 800,000 now. You have maybe more than 800,000 Guyanese living abroad. You can't remove those persons, and you can't assume that they're not going to come home to vote. So that is why the list, and you made an error. It is not 500,000 that voted in the last elections, about 400,000 and change, right? So the
I have you pick up my error.
So I have demonstrated to you that nothing is wrong with the list. The list is not illegal. It is not unconstitutional. The number on the list is a representation of Guyanese residing home in Guyana and Guyanese residing abroad, and the Constitution protects their right.
I agree to those things.
Right?
Those things are law.
You
But
can't
see,
that.
My friend, you make mention of all of these things in your letter, but what you fail to make mention of, I didn't hear you make mention of Venezuelans, Nigerians, Haitians, and all other Cubans who have been given citizen here. You only speak on Guyanese, right?
So do you have facts that Venezuela?
Well, I don't have facts, but you have outlined in your editorial that the registrar sent a list every month or every year to GCOM on these data, so GCOM can able to go through the process. Is the registrar can do the same so that the population, which we are asking all the time for, we have asked in Parliament, give us a data on the amount of Venezuelans and other individuals who have been nationalized in this country with Guyanese rights. Give us the data of such. It can't produce as yet, but you speak on Guyanese database there. Why the registry cannot do that? And let us know so you can able to analyze more properly and give us something that we can work with. When we read it out there, we can say, well, Joel BHAGWANDIN did a proper analyze this system properly, and he identified not only Guyanese, but he identified Venezuelans, he identified other areas where we maybe need to strengthen or we need to investigate. Your database show clearly about the current holistically and the base on Guyanese. But there is nothing on what we are asking for and why running from these questions. The Member of Parliament Amanza and other opposition member make big objection on this issue where the minister can't produce these evidence to date. And I'm happy that you made your editorial make mention the registry or the registrar send over lists of deceased individual to GCOM so that they can able to conclude the process of the list. They should have done that too with the others so that we can have proper data.
So let me answer your question, right? To an extent. Obviously, there will be no list of Venezuelans that will be sent to GCOM to add to our list, to add to the database of voters. Venezuelans can't vote. The people who are going through.
But how they get the ID card?
They have to be
a process. Exactly.
They got to go through a process.
So where is that database?
So you said that
is anybody you turn up to get a board certificate and go get an ID card?
So you have said that your colleagues have asked for this information in Parliament. Now I got fact check that. I don't know. The last RDP when I asked for the last RDP paper.
No man, many times.
What I know is that the government is on record recently, I think through the Ministry of Labor, that they would now start to get Venezuelans coming in to get them regularized, so to speak, in terms of, or matriculated, so to speak. I'm using my own word, to get into, to be part of the workforce. So I'm not sure where you pose the question.
Joel, if you're going down a transparent and you want to be accountable on a voters list, Region 1,
yeah, but
the government was able to say,
no, but
this 10 people dead from Region 1, 20 Venezuelan have received Guyanese board certificate. They will entitle ID card. You need database when you do these kind of editorial or letters. You just speak as a whole there, right? And that is where now the government need to make these things public, so people like myself, people on the ground will understand, well, yes, Region 1 to Region 10, this is the database there. There is nothing of such.
So did it occur to you? So did it occur to you that if you ask this question and the answer is not, I'm assuming, let's assume that what you're saying is factually correct, that you've asked this question in Parliament, in the National Assembly. Did it occur to you that...
I'm not a parliamentarian. No?
Okay, but your colleagues, did it occur to you that the government may not have started that process, that nobody has registered, so there's nothing to report on? Secondly, if you're a competent opposition and you're making a claim based on a hypothesis, because you're guarding against Venezuelans coming here, and how do we know these people are Guyanese and they're getting registered and then they're going to vote? Well, that is a legitimate concern for any political party, right? And you're part of the legitimate opposition, then any competent opposition would have to be able, if the government is not forthcoming with the information, then you have to be able to bring forward that any information to the contrary, to say, hey, look, in Region 1, we understand that 100 Venezuelan registered who they claim to be Guyanese. These are the persons, this is the information, this is the process, and the process was not adhered to. As a competent opposition, you got to be able to do that.
Let me respond to your first question you ask. Database on the Venezuelans, the government kept those database with themselves. The opposition.
You're making an allegation. We don't know that for a fact.
Well, why not it in the public? Let them produce it in the public. Let them publish it on the social media page, like they recently started to do at the Ministry of Home Affairs. Then you make mention of a competent opposition, where we must bring forward factual documentation. We did that so many times. My colleague have argued in Parliament, table motion and questions on this issue, and not a proper answer was given. The government has those data they kept away from the public, and that's why your article based on Guyanese alone and nobody else.
But the point I demonstrated is to disprove the notion that the list is bloated. You are bringing in a different issue.
No, the list will be bloated. It will be bloated. You're
bloated on what basis?
I just make mention. Your editorial base on what is there as Guyanese, on a foundation as Guyanese.
We had an influx of Venezuelans in 2015, neither in 2020.
You know for a fact I was the mayor. You had over 20,000 Venezuelans in the city alone, man.
When?
During 2020 to
so why
now.
You never write about it,
right?
Talk about it?
There is documentation. We did seminar with those things.
There was documentation.
Yes, when I was mayor, there was seminar done with this guy Amar Pandey on Venezuelans and so on, right at City Council, and those documentation is there. There is a guy that
and he worked with you at City Council?
No, not me. Is a forum. He has with young people, and we did our research. That research is there, right? Venezuelan, we give something called the health certificate to occupy food caravans and all kind of things. The health center has to do that. The record there of Venezuelans too. Let the city council produce the current record.
Why are you copying on this Venezuelan thing?
If you
are saying the list not bloated.
Hold on, it's simple. Hold on.
And you only deal with Guyanese.
Yeah, but listen, man, this thing is simple. Don't confuse.
So is there
Hold on. This thing is simple. Let's assume your theory is correct. Let's assume, okay, you processed 20,000 Venezuelans.
I didn't say I processed 20. You can't contradict me.
No, it doesn't mean you.
Okay, listen. Let's assume we have 20,000 Venezuelans in the country, right? And they got all sorts of Spanish name, right? Now you're saying that that you have asked, your colleagues have asked for this information in the National Assembly. It has not been forthcoming, and so you formed the theory, maybe rightfully or wrongfully so, that the government has this information and they're hiding the information from the public. Well, how does the opposition now prevent Venezuelans from voting, prevent Venezuelans who may not be Guyanese to find their names onto the Guyanese voters list? Simple. When the list is published, when the voters list is published, extracted from the database, and the voters list is published, you have the claims on objection, and the whole world will be able to see, look, we have 20,000 or 10,000 or 5,000 Spanish names here. Who are these people?
So
that's the checks and balance. You have the system.
You again assuming something.
I'm not assuming.
That Guyanese people name the child or children Spanish name too.
No.
Right?
Oh,
so this government has to say it to this public. You have 40,000 Venezuelans in this country, so much have been given Guyanese right.
No, but what
you don't have that.
Yeah, but what
you don't have that.
Yeah, but what we
and you are arguing on a list that is bloated and which will be more bloated on the upcoming election.
You have been making claims that you can't substantiate.
That is a serious claim, Mr. We need documentation.
Exactly, documentation has to come from the government of the day.
Documentation,
right?
But that claim you making.
The government. Let me ask you this, Freddie. Homo Venezuelan in Guyana. You answer that question now.
I don't know. I know the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Man, answer the question you don't know.
You're blowing hot air.
What's this thing about the Venezuelan?
No, I'm not speaking on Venezuela alone. I make mention of the Haitian, the Nigerian, and all.
But for the past 10 minutes, you can't. But look,
you don't know Homo Venezuelan in this Guyana. I don't know. Do you know?
No.
Do you know?
Why you carping on it?
No.
If you don't know what, anyway.
Our time is up already.
Yeah, our time is up.
Joel spoke on an editorial he wrote, and I just outlined certain views on it, right?
That you can't substantiate.
I did. You can't substance on your editorial where you speak, and this list is not bloated. But you can't say Homo Venezuelan, Homo Nigerian, Homo Cuban, so much Haitian.
We got to do this.
Because Venezuela should not be on the list, and they are not on the list.
So your editorial speak on Guyanese alone. Right?
Joel Bagwandin, Pandit UBRAJ, we've got to do this another time. Operator said time has come, and I had questions.
Me too.
Akash had questions. Yeah. We've got to do this. So before I go, I'd like to thank Akash for being with us, as usual as a host. Thank Joel, two persons who have graciously given us their time over the 2 years, and we welcome the presence of both of you. I think both of you have appeared 4 times or 5 times on this program, and we appreciate it. Before we go, I'd like a comment from Akash and Joel about this attire here. Where is it from? We had people guess who say they think was from France, Morocco.
This from Kenya. Yeah.
Kenya. See, we had a guesser who said this thing was from Kenya. This from Kenya.
Yeah.
Well, he did say, Joel, that he traveled. I see you want to reply to him, but Joel, our time has come.
Let's continue.
Joel, we gotta go.
Joel, nice.
Please let us continue this, because there are certain things that I wanted to raise and we didn't get the time.
Our time has come. We've got to go. We've had a robust 1 hour exchange between 2 men that are about the same age, and looks like they have a large future in Guyanese academic forum, Guyanese intellectualism, Guyanese politics. It looked like that's the new generation coming up. Joel Bagwandin, financial expert, and former mayor of Guyana 5 times, UBRAJ NARAINE, who's also a Hindu Pandit. We will see you on Friday for calling, and there's a show on holiday. We work on holidays. So May the 26th, there will be a program. On behalf of these 3 young men who went to the hairdresser, if you look at the hairstyle, catch you later. Bye-bye.